Welcome, dear listener who is here on Kardec Radio's Facebook Live. Yes, we're here, Carol, Mark, Carlos, Virginia, and I, and other friends, exactly. Can you believe it? We're all here, and we're here with you, trying to put together the system that is gonna work, and make sure that you can listen to us wherever you are in the world. Today is about the Symposium on Reincarnation, which happened last weekend, Saturday, in Orlando, Florida. The United States Spiritist Federation organized the symposium, putting together the Spiritist centers, representatives of several centers in the U.S., including friends who came from other parts of the United States. We are yet to expand to another. You're welcome here on Facebook. We have here Mark, who is going to keep an eye. If you make a question, he's going to make sure
walk over there and turn on the speaker.
And turn on the speaker. If you want to call us and talk to us here, just dial 858-769-4705 to talk to us directly. But you're also going to listen to beautiful interviews that were collected by Danny Braviera and Eric Ancelone. Yes, they're my cousins, and they were there working very hard, promoting a lot of joy. And I have here the beautiful Virginia. Hi, Virginia. Thank you for being with us at Kardec Radio. It's the first time she's here with us. I remember she was baby next door. Now she's here. Beautiful girl helping us here. So, right now, we are going to pass the word to Mark and Carol so they can start telling us a little bit about the theme that we worked at the symposium, was on reincarnation. The importance of discussing this topic. How do you think people can change their lives when they get to know that they reincarnate? Mark and Carol.
Well, for me, I think the most powerful, and you heard the message mentioned throughout the symposium, was how much of how our life is a place where we're basically learning, and that we're learning to grow, we're learning to serve, we're learning to become even and ever more connected to the source of love and the source of hope in the universe. It was a beautiful message that you heard several speakers talk about from different perspectives, and it was a beautiful and really inspiring symposium. The thing I was most impressed with were the number of non-spiritists that showed up.
Really?
Yeah.
Did you notice
Yeah.
many new faces?
Many new faces. Many people who don't know or are not connected, some or maybe loosely connected to Spiritism. People from places in the United States I've never seen anybody from coming to any sort of Spiritist event.
Right.
Met a wonderful, interesting gentleman from Iowa who came, central Iowa.
Greg Palmer.
Yeah, Greg Palmer. It was very, very interesting to meet him. A lot of people you'd never think you would see in Florida at a Spiritist event.
Yeah.
That was nice to see.
It was beautiful.
And it's because it was in English that brought these people.
Right.
It wasn't a Portuguese event translated into English.
Yeah. There were no barriers.
Right, there were no barriers.
And for those who claim, oh, but I don't speak English, I'm sorry, but in the United States, we need to speak English. So it's an invitation for you, come to the event, because it's like an intensive course on English too. It's interesting, right? Mm-hmm. From that angle.
Yeah.
I know many people, like my parents, when they come here, or somebody else, they say, I go there so I can learn English too. We need to be open-minded and boost our capacity. We can do much more, right, Carol?
Absolutely.
Thank you, Mark. But what about you, Carol? What do you think?
To me, the symposium was a message of hope, because it confirmed to us what Jesus, our Master, embodied, which is joy of living. We now have a compromise with our own hearts and with the heart of the Master to carry joy of living within ourselves, because we know that we are immortal spirits. So through reincarnation we learn that we are allowed by the mercy of God to wear many physical vests and that life is in fact a school. So life, the word life, the concept of life is much broader and much more beautiful. It's a journey of growth, a journey of mercy, a journey of transformation, a journey of togetherness, a journey of compassion. Life is no longer about what I have or what I don't have. Life is more about who I would like to become, and the opportunities that life offers us are all about boosting our capacities, as you said, Vanessa, as immortal spirits. So now I'm no longer looking for whether or not I have such and such figure at the bank or such and such diploma on my wall. I'm looking at myself and thinking, how can I take this precious opportunity to learn more about the gifts that are offered to me? Do I have eyes to really see them? Because life will go on. And through reincarnation, we do have this certainty. And this certainty brings us to what life is really about. A school, an opportunity of growth. And to me, there's nothing better than that.
Exactly. So here we are, dear listener, with you at Cardiac Radio, discussing about the symposium. There were several talks, and they are in a very special format. In the United States, since the first symposium, the spirit mentors advised us to do shorter talks. Shorter talks because we can also practice being objective and not overwhelming people and giving more people opportunity to share their studies. Remember, none of us will go there to be a speaker. We actually are the owners of the ideas. We're sharing what the spirits have taught us through these teachings. So we are mere apprentices sharing these studies. So it's not even about us. It's not like, oh, it's my idea, it's my invention, it's my creation. No, it's just that we're sharing studies. And a good format is to share them in a concise manner and in discussions like roundtable discussions. There was musical parts, which was beautiful and interesting. There was visualization. And this year, the United States Spiritist Federation did a beautiful work of providing the fraternal assistance, whatever we name it. I know we're yet to unfold better ways of, explaining what it is, but it's an opportunity for people who come here or come to these events and know that if they have something bothering them or like questions that are really bothering them, they can come to people who are very conscientious or very compassionate, who are going to listen to them and give them some insights, not answers. It's not about being a psychic or a medium. It's mostly about being fraternal. That's why the name fraternal. We need to rescue this word. Sometimes in our movement, people are very bothered. Oh, but fraternity is not used anymore in the United States the way it is and used to be in the past. Well, welcome Spiritism. Let's rescue the word that was stolen to purposes that should never be used. True fraternity is not about sorority. True fraternity is about caring, is about brotherhood. So let us bring it back. No, we're not going to misusing the word. We're actually going to teach people the true meaning of the word, fraternal assistance. And remember Divaldo Franco and Raul Teixeira revealing to us that Spiritism also has this function, which is to solidify the language of the earth. to expand our vocabulary. That's why some terms are like exquisite. They're like, whoa, it's beautiful, but do I understand what it is? Well, it's a good opportunity for us to learn the new and to expand our vocabulary and to rescue words that have been stolen by the forces of darkness. I'll give you an example. I remember talking to Sueli Calda-Schubert once when she was in Baltimore, and we were talking about the word doctrine. We cannot even say the word doctrine in some parts of the world, that people feel like it's a dogma, it's an imposition. And if you go to the dictionary, the word dogma has been used for the very purpose, has been defined as these ideas that were imposed by the church, etc. And then Sueli Calda-Schubert, who is a scholar in Spiritism and an adorable heart, she said, Vanessa, in the past, we misused the word. Now we're going to have a hard time bringing it back and cleansing it from these stigma that we created but shouldn't have created. The word need to be rescued. Kardec used the word to say doctrine as a set of principles. So let us bring it back. And people, as they get in, they will understand. At first, it's like a shock, like doctrine. I remember people in Baltimore coming in for the first time. They're like, I don't want any doctrine. I don't want any dogma. And then we sat down and said, no. This doesn't mean dogma. It means a set of principles. There is another use to the word. People didn't know. But we are using this, as Kardec said, to mean a set of principles. It takes time. It's labor intensive. It takes patience. It takes a lot of skills, like almost like the Brazilian samba, to go around and say, the set of principles, and then doctrine, and then be right, Virginia, and then at the end of the day, people are like, yippee, doctrine, I got it, it's not that bad. So these are some insights we need to pay attention to. And when Kardec talks about reincarnation, talking about dogma, he brings up that discussion of the fact that some people think it's a dogma, it's a dogmatic idea because there is no proof. No, we have proof. Here in the state of Virginia, blessed state of Virginia, where the first president was located, where the third president was located, many men and women who really made a difference in the United States and founded the nation, is where we have the solidification of the proof that reincarnation is a biological phenomenon, is a phenomenon of nature. That's how Dr. Ian Stevenson and other researchers, Jim Tucker, nowadays leading the research at the University of Virginia in Charlottesville. We've interviewed him before Cardiac Radio, and there is living proof that reincarnation exists. But they say, we don't know how it happens. Well, science is not obliged to explain everything. They're still researching on it. But the fact has been proved. Many scientific papers have been published showing the clear facts. Science shows people are here, they reincarnate, they bring back memories. There is biological birthmarks proving it, and the statements of these serious and committed researchers telling us that reincarnation is a fact. It is a natural phenomenon. But how and why, science doesn't know, but Spiritism, the science of the spirits, do explain. They do explain. In the symposium, we talked a lot about that other part. We had beautiful conversations. And I recall many of the speakers talking about the first moment in which the spirit is connected to the physical body, which is at conception. So here is a big parenthesis we're going to open to talk a little bit about the spiritist view on abortion. You want to share something about it, Carol, please?
Sure. Some of us may believe that we as women, right, Vanessa,
Yes.
have the right to manage, control our bodies because our bodies belong to us, so we should be, quote unquote, in charge of it. But though we are responsible for the physical vest that we temporarily wear, we are not the ones who are responsible for a new life, who can determine whether the new life continues on or not. The new life is in fact an immortal millennial spirit that is counting on us as collaborators to help them, support them in their progress. And oftentimes they are the teachers that we ourselves need to progress. It's an alliance of progress that God in her divine mercy grants to us. So the gift of motherhood is not only a gift, but also a mission that we as spirits are invited to accept, because it is an act of charity, an act of mercy, and an opportunity of growth for us to be able to use our physical vests as mediums of God. Andre Lewis, the spirit doctor that has psychographed many books through our dear Chico Xavier, shows to us that we are in fact co-creators with God. As Vanessa has pointed out to us before, it's like God is the pilot and we are the co-pilots. So what does a co-pilot do? A co-pilot doesn't say, this airplane is mine, I shall manage it as I want, I don't want to go here, I'm not going to be concerned about the people that are here. A co-pilot simply says, allow me to follow your instructions and to collaborate with us. So the gift of conception, the gift of gestation, the gift of a new birth is a privilege for us, because we in fact embrace the opportunity to be mediums of life with God, through God, and for God.
For God, exactly. So this is one more reason for all of us to meditate. But if you're listening to us or watching us and you say, oh my gosh, when I was younger, I experienced abortion. I'm not going to say miscarriage. I'm going to say when you actually commit the act. Well, practice self-forgiveness. You didn't know. Now you know. I know people who are spirits, and even if they know, they still do it because of life circumstances. What should we do? Forgive ourselves. And as Jesus said to Mary Magdalene once, love can cover a mountain of mistakes. We're not going to say sins, because sin is just missing the mark. It's like a mistake. I know it is against God's law, but how many things we do are against God's law? So what do? You forgive yourself. Should we do abortion? No, not at all. But if you're listening to us, don't go desperate, because there is always another day in which God mercifully gives us a new opportunity. Go adopt somebody else, have children if you can. Ask for forgiveness and learn to forgive yourself. It's one of the things we need to do, is to forgive ourselves so we can forgive others. It's not easy, but we need to do that. Right? It's self-charity. It's kindness towards the self so we can be kind to others. I know we're never going to approve of it, but we are also never going to condemn. Spiritism doesn't condemn anything, but we need to open our doors to the true reality. Who are we? And I think at the symposium, Mark, we got the answer. Who we are.
Yeah.
We're more than this life, right?
Absolutely. And it was very inspiring to hear people from different perspectives on that issue, like, you know, coming at this from the point of view of psychology, coming at this from the point of view of medicine, coming at this from the point of view of, like, hearing Julio coming at this from the prison system. You know, like, it's such an interesting experience to hear the different perspectives on that issue coming from all the different, we have a diversity of people in Spiritism with a lot of different experiences, life experiences, that can address what reincarnation means to our life from the different perspectives that they have, from the hardships that they've faced themselves or from what they see other people go through and so forth. That was nice to see that.
That's a good point, Mark. And just inspired by your comment, let me go to the program we had. As Mark is mentioning, you know, we have so many good speakers in people, and when I say speakers, we mean people who have been studying Spiritism. They are not sharing their ideas. They are sharing what they've been studying. We're all students of Spiritism. We all enrolled in this continuing education. And for example, when the symposium began, we had John Santos from the Atlanta Spiritist community, who is leading our sister radio, Spiritist Radio in Atlanta. And he was talking about reincarnation throughout time. He rewinded the tape of humankind's history and showed to us that in other ancient civilizations, and including in the Mosaic Law, and we also have it in the Old Testament, the New Testament, and throughout other religious pathways and philosophies, the verification that humanity has been investing on this awareness for a while. It's not something new brought in by Spiritism.
And it's not exclusive to Spiritism either.
And it's not exclusive to
because,
Spiritism.
as Kardec says, the truth is the truth in all epochs of humanity.
Exactly. So John Santos showed to us, you know, this time course of the concept of reincarnation, though with different names, because of course the word reincarnation is something of the modern times, not something of the ancient times, right? But the concept of it has been present throughout different civilizations, in different religious pathways, etc., which was a very interesting take. And then the dear Eddie Christie, besides performing beautifully the piano and then the songs later with Greg Palma, he talked about the logic of reincarnation. Eddie Christie, I like to say, he's our philosopher. He has this beautiful thinking. His studies on Spiritism really have this philosophical take, in which he talks, you know, it's the logic, really the logics, which is a subfield, it's a sector of the studies in philosophy, and he really expanded the concept on the logics of reincarnation. Does it make sense, as Kardec said, that we live this life and only this life? So, as I mentioned to a colleague in science once at the University of Maryland, what is the point of you being so good, such a hard-working man, if tomorrow everything is going to be over? What's the point? Why you're a good man? It doesn't make any sense to me. Even if people say, oh, but for future generations, who cares? If everybody's going to die and that's it, why do we care? And the point is, if we really want to boost our rational and our reasoning, inevitably, we're going to come to the realization that it's inevitable to accept the concept that we reincarnate. But you may be asking, same question Kardec asked, does it mean that tomorrow I can be a cow or a chicken or a frog? No. You know why? Because the software that runs with the human mind cannot be played in the body of animals. It's like a software for another version of computers being run in an earlier version. It doesn't run. It's too much. It needs a different processing system. You know, it needs a different hardware. Everything is different. So it's not compatible. It's impossible. So you never regress. We always progress. And this is also part of the logics of reincarnation. That's beautiful. So does that mean I can reincarnate in other parts of the world? Yes. So that's why it's good for you to speak English. Because if tomorrow,
That's right.
if you reincarnate in the US, you already have that in your matrix. It's going to be easier. You know how many people and children have a hard time speaking languages, the language of the country they were born in. And I remember several cases of researchers showing that the difficulty that children experience in speaking the language of the country they were born in is also, could be many things, but it could also be a sign that that is their first reincarnation in that country. They don't know. When they have an easy time with language, it shows that they have been living in those different areas. Yes, it's like they have the matrix. You store everything you have done. And then Sonia Doi came in and talked about the Medical Spirit Association. You can go to the website sma-us.org, and they are preparing the next conference in October 2018. So keep an eye. I know it's more than a year ahead of us, but you know, mark your calendar, prepare yourselves, pray that we'll be able to attend, because we hope we can attend and participate. And then later, after a beautiful musical session, we had the opportunity of talking for 30 minutes about, in the next sessions, about past lives. It's the therapy of past lives. Of course, in 30 minutes, we cannot say everything. But we briefly touched the subject, talking about Amália Domingo Soler case. And you can, by the way, at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, you can watch Facebook Live at Kardec Radio when we are breaking down 15 cases of past lives based on the book 15 Cases of Past Lives by Amália Domingo Soler. Okay? And what is interesting is that people ask, can I access my previous lives? Kardec, from questions 382 to 399 of the Spirit's book, he talks about that. He addresses forgetfulness of the past. Later in the Gospel According to Spiritism, we are going to read that again. But going back to the Spirit's book, can we access it? Yes. Should we? Most likely not, because on the earth we still have a hard time to forgive, right? Ourselves or others. But are there times in which we should surrender ourselves to a therapeutic session, like regression of past lives? Yes. With responsible and well-prepared practitioners, therapists. Not in a Spiritist center. Spiritist centers are not for therapy of past lives. Okay? But what if the spirits reveal to us past lives features? Well, as Kardec says in the Medium's book, we should observe the language, observe the facts, and analyze the language of any communication. And say, why am I getting to know of this information? What virtue can I boost in me by knowing of this fact? How can I untie the knots of my life and free myself from it? That's the purpose of it all. To bring it to awareness so we can unclog the pipes of our relationship. Okay? Untie the knots of our relationships. freeing it from the nodules of disturbance, as André Luiz says in the book Evolution into Worlds. And we mentioned in our talk about André Luiz' recommendation that we have to be careful because we tend to repeat, which is good because we're prone to learning and repeating. We're conditioned beings. But the problem is when we get used to the wrong response, which becomes an addiction, like a vice. What do? We need a lot of effort and new habits which are only conquered by repetition. Some people are like, but I can't stop doing this. You don't stop something by saying, I'm going to stop it. You stop it by doing something new. Like my father said to me once, I was very young, not too young, I was like a teenager, and I had like a, sweetheart, like a boyfriend. And we broke up. I was a little, sad, and he said, you know how you're going to get out of this? The time you used, he said, to go out with him, etc., you go do something else. Because if at those times you just do nothing and keep recalling, it's going to be harder for you. What a wise advice. Because it's precisely the advice by André Luiz when he said, we only learn new things by effort and repetition. So I need to make an effort. What new am I going to do? And then repeat it. And then I gain a new habit. And then I transform myself. But the ultimate highlight of our conversation on therapy of past lives was about how do I get to know of myself in previous lives, what I were, what I've done. How do I know it without incurring a therapy of past lives? By self-observation. What Kardec says in questions 382 to 399, he repeats several times what the spirits mention. By observing our instinctive tendencies. You know those things that we do and say, this is who I am, I'm not going to change. These are things that are us in the past and are so strong that they keep being strong in us and being repeated. Okay? So, soon after, Julio Carvalho came in and he talked more about it. Julio Carvalho, Daniel Assis, and I were participating in this beautiful session. It was so beautiful because it coordinated so complementarily. He talked about how we know things we never learned. Right, Carol?
Right.
You want to mention something about it?
No.
No, Virginia. You're welcome. Virginia, don't step on it. No, don't let her step on it because of the camera. Thank you, thank you. We have a live program. It's so beautiful. Okay, Sunshine is asking us. Thank you, Mark. Hi, Sunshine. How friends? You know, I see many of you there. I'm going to ask Mark to go there, browse through and say the name so we know who you are. Who is there with us, Mark?
Carolini, Ann, Paloma, Sunshine.
Paloma!
Patricia Cardoso.
Patricia.
Aden.
Aiden.
Olimpio. Rihanna.
Rihanna.
Danny.
Danny.
Rosalind.
Rosalie.
Luciana.
Luciana. Our Luciana.
Luciana Machado.
She's also ours.
She's also ours. Sorry.
Simone.
Simone. Thank you, friends. Now, Sunshine is asking about the next symposium. It's going to be in Washington, D.C., near us.
Yay.
We're here in the Washington, D.C. area. And you will be able to visit Kardec Radio. We're going to open the Spirit Center in Virginia. We're going to open the Spirit Center in D.C. Kardec Radio, so you can visit us as well, okay? But it's going to be in D.C. The precise date is yet to be decided. But Julio Carvalho gave a beautiful talk, as always, sharing his studies. And at the end, he recited a poem. By the way, poetry in Spiritism is so unique, right? It's the unique way of being spiritual and at the same time enjoying the musicality of it all. And then Daniel Assisi talked about past life memories as evidence of reincarnation. Pretty soon, as soon as we break down this conversation, we're going to stream a 15-minute piece we edited and put together when Julio Carvalho, Daniel Assisi, and other speakers are giving you a summary, a taste of what they've talked about. Thanks to the hard-working efforts of Erika and Danny. Thank you.
Thank
you. By the way, we have a lot to thank Leia Severo for her working with us on the behind the scenes on the days of the symposium as well. Dulce, who was there, also giving a lot of support. Carlos, and the team who is here, and the one from the Beyond, of course. And Virginia, who behaved very well.
Yes.
She was the winner. Now, later, after lunch, when everybody was feeling like, prepared for the next session, we have a beautiful roundtable discussion in which Jussara Korngold, Sonia Doe, and Aura Fonseca talked about human reproduction and the impacts on reincarnation. Moderator Mark and Karen, would you like to share some highlights that you recall from those moments?
Sure. To me, it was very interesting to hear Dr. Sonia Doy talking about how genetics and the science of the spirits intertwine, because of course we know that we have a genetic code that shapes our experience on earth, but Dr. Sonia Doy brought in the spiritist perspective, and she mentioned the spirit Dr. Andre Lewis, how he brought in the case of Segismundo as he was preparing to reincarnate. That case is fully described to us in the book Missionaries of Light, and we see that there is a department devoted to the science of reincarnation in the spiritual realm, and we see friends, the scarlet spirits in the spiritual realm, designing the genetic code of their future physical bodies. And we see that through the loving hands of the spirit doctors, there is a beautiful collaborative work whereby both the reincarnating spirit and the loving doctors design a map of the genes that the body will carry. And those genes are the loving mirror of all the experiences that reincarnating candidate, so to speak, needs to undergo. So, for example, we see in Andre Lewis' narrative that one particular spirit says to him, "Could I please not have a perfectly delineated physical body? Because I don't want to fall or to falter or to repeat conditioned patterns of the past." So we are so blessed that our genetic code carries on the loving opportunities that we need to open ourselves to new experiences, like Vanessa just mentioned, rather than repeating those old conditioning. So even the way our genetic code is designed is meant to boost our ability to renew ourselves. And to me, that's just beautiful, right?
Yeah, I remember that message about the gift of reincarnation.
Yes.
We've heard that many times, and that's so important to remember that this life is every moment we can use for self-improvement. Move forward in our life. Right now, we can make that decision. Right? Do it.
Do it right now.
Let's do it together.
Let's just do it.
Teamwork.
Right?
Gin for the soul.
Yes.
Right?
So, hi Olympia from Belo Horizonte, Brazil. Whoa, Belo Horizonte.
Wow,
what a blessed city. Right, Rihanna. And we have Rosaline Rosa from Los Angeles. Beautiful Rosaline Rosa. Now, as we just go back, you know, Eduardo Haddad also did a beautiful work when he talked about the role of reincarnation in human evolution, which goes hand in hand with this take that Karen Mark was summarizing to us. What a beautiful, beautiful talk. You know, I'm so proud to see so many friends. You know, they have so many they are beautiful English speaking skills.
Yes.
Plus the studies. You know, Jesus is knowledgeable. He's wise. He knows. If you're like, but you know, we need a new Chico Xavier to boost spiritism in the United States. Yeah, I'm not going to say anything, because if we needed it, we would have had it. If we need it in the future, we will have it. What we need is right here in the United States. We need to value the divine potential that we have in the United States. And kudos to the United States Spiritist Federation for observing the potential, bringing it forth, trusting the teamwork effort we have in this country. We already have it. But one thing, I'm going to give you a tip by Mentor Joseph. Stop making a difference between American Spiritists and non-American Spiritists. You know why? Because deep inside, there's no American or Brazilian or European. We're all Spiritists. I've never heard that in Kardec's literature, I'm a French Spiritist, but that one is a British Spiritist. What is the difference? Give me a break. Okay? There's no difference. American, non-American. Who knows? There are people who are born in Brazil, and then they're more American than many Americans that I know. They love American, more American than I know. So, one thing we need to stop is this differentiation that only hinder us from progressing. Okay? So open your minds, open your doors of the heart, because there is no difference. For Jesus, there is no nationality. And for André Louis, chapter 1, Among Brothers of Other Lands, he says, the word foreigner should be erased from our vocabulary. Okay? So there's no foreigner. I know we're living critical times regarding it, and there's a purpose. There are forces of darkness trying to make that distinction between Americans and the rest of the world. And that's not healthy. Americans are human beings just like everybody else. And Brazilians are human beings just like everybody else. We're just one. And we are born here today, and tomorrow we're going to be Chinese. So the so-called American Spiritists, we're going to be Chinese Spiritists. What's the difference? No difference.
And by the way, that's the purpose of the reincarnation process, to create fraternity, to bring down the walls and create bridges. Because as spirits, we have no labels. So God literally transplants us to different environments so that we learn to expand our hearts instead of contracting our heart. That's the sole purpose of reincarnation, to take out the label and go straight to the heart.
To the heart. Thank you, Carol. And wrapping up, Giulio Padovan did a beautiful talk on From the Intelligent Principle to the Perfected Spirits. And he was interviewed. He's going to summarize to you as soon as we finish this first part of today's show on his talk. Beautiful summary. And then John Carngold and Elmo Delande were in another room talking about spirit release therapy and rescue work, this obsession. Okay? But you know, the beauty of it all is that there was more than the adults in the symposium. Since the first symposium, we were guided to bring the whole family. Oh yeah, in 2007, I remember now, Ur Fonseca and Eduardo Guimarães, when we invited them to lead the work with the children and youth. And since then, it's been 11 symposia when children and youth have their space in the symposium. They did their own workshop under the same theme, guided by Cláudia Nunes, Fernanda Fey, and Larissa Santos, and other volunteers who belong to the Department of Youth and Education at the Spiritist Federation of Florida. And at the end, they sung the song, Child of God.
Yes.
And you're going to listen to it here at Kardec Radio, okay? Right now, we're going to wrap up with our final message right here for this part, because we want you to listen to the beautiful interviews that came about while the workshop was going on. Speakers, volunteers. By the way, volunteers on the behind the scene, Tanya Schwartz did a phenomenal work working with many volunteers, Jussara Korngold, and we had Glaucio Pessoa, Haddad, Fernanda, and the Federation working beautifully there to make this symposium come to life. Besides the sponsors, all over the place, like many organizations sponsoring to make it happen. What a beautiful proof that this work of unity works. It's unity for work, not for politics, not for anything else, but to bring new life to people. Mark and Carol, your final comments as we wrap up and stream the beautiful interviews.
We are beautiful children of God, and we are blessed with the gift of returning to the school of life as many times as necessary to boost ourselves up and align ourselves more and more with the Divine Master. How do we do it? Together forever.
Forever.
Through reincarnation, there are no limits to how united we can be. So, friends, you are never alone. We are always united. And for the heart, there are no limits. This is why the most beautiful message of our loving Master was and is, love yourself, love God, and love yourself as you love your neighbors, because we are one beautiful family.
Thank you, Carol. Mark.
And what a gift to know Spiritism, because it brings so much more clarity and understanding to that message that Carol just mentioned. I think it truly is a gift that we're all together here in this little community, which I hope will become bigger. But it doesn't need to be bigger. It is what it is. It's at the right time in the right place. And let's just remind ourselves right now how blessed we are to know about this movement, to know about this, the knowledge that we have, and let's thank all the volunteers and all the efforts of all the people that worked to put the symposium together in Florida.
You're right. Thank you, Katia. Thank you, Patricia. Thank you, Sunshine, and everyone who has been with us. And we are here with you, dear listener, and we're going to stream right now. We're going to turn off Facebook Live, so if you're watching us, go to the app now. Or go to KardecRadio.com,
Yes.
or click here, Blog Talk Radio. You have a link right there on Facebook to keep listening. We're going to turn off Facebook Live so you can listen with your heart.
Yes.
The beautiful interviews, the speakers who summarized beautifully what they did at the symposium, the volunteers, even the children.
Yes.
So it's for the next 50 minutes. Enjoy the show. All right? So right now we'll see you in a week from today or tonight at 11 p.m. We're going to be with you with the 5th case of Past Life by Amália Domingo Soler. Shall we? In the meantime, keep feeling the blessings of God always. Bye-bye,
Bye.
Facebook.
Friends.
Keep listening to the interviews.
Search Kardec Radio on the App Store or Google Play.
All
Okay.
right. So let's... Bye,
Bye.
Virginia. Thank you.